What's up, hockey think tankers? Welcome to another Short Shifts episode sponsored by Skate Tech. In case you didn't know, Skate Tech skate sharpening and equipment repair brings you NHL quality service at an affordable retail price. With over 24 years of sharpening equipment customizing experience, Skate Tech serves as your personal equipment manager, providing the highest quality skate sharpening, blade profiling, team uniforms. I just bought a whole bunch of GMT jerseys for my pro and D1 group, and equipment alterations available on the market today. Let Skate Tech help you take your on-ice performance to the next level with the edge the pros trust. Check them out at skatetechsharpening.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Happy short shifts. 10 minutes are on the clock. Jeffrey Jehu Lavecchio has no idea what the topic is going to be today, but should he choose to hop on this magic carpet ride with me and accept this challenge, we are going to have a fun 10 minutes. Vex, are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, let's go. Okay, so I was in the rink this past weekend, and I was watching hockey, and like one of my biggest pet peeves just kept happening and kept happening and kept happening and kept happening. And so I was on a bench and I was kind of talking with one of the other coaches, and I was like, oh my gosh, do you want to know what one of my biggest pet peeves in hockey is?
I do.
Okay. And I want to talk about it, and I want to get your thoughts on this. One of my biggest pet peeves in hockey, if not my biggest pet peeve, is when there is an odd man rush situation and the player with the puck turns it into a one-on-one. So think about the left winger has the puck. It's a 3-on-2, and they just try to beat the defender on their side one-on-one. And 99 times out of 100, that puck gets turned over and it goes the other way, and you have two teammates that are unhappy with you. And so I'm going to leave it there to start because I want to get your thoughts on it, because I have a lot of thoughts on this. First of all, is that something that you've seen in the youth hockey space? And what are your thoughts on taking an odd man rush, or even like an even person rush, like a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3, and just making it a 1-on-1? Go.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to see Colin. No, yeah, it's a terrible idea. Let's see how this plays out. Yeah, it's awful. I don't know why anyone would ever do this. Yes, you see it quite often in younger hockey. For me, this is probably worse than when we talked about the guy on the odd man rush who just skates it into the corner.
I'm like a 2-on-1. Yeah.
Yeah, a 2-on-1 instead, making a play, getting closer to the middle of the ice, get a shooting angle, yada, yada, yada. You just wind up skating yourself into the corner, staying way too wide, not getting yourself in an actual scoring, in the scoring triangle closer to the net. This is even worse. It's just like, first of all, especially as you get older, it is so hard to beat guys one-on-one. It is very, very, it gets harder and harder. And it gets like exponentially harder as you get older. It's not just like, oh, it was hard at Squirt and it was hard at Pee Wee and it's hard at Bantam. It's like, no. Every year you go up, it gets like multiplied how hard it is to beat a defender one-on-one. So your odds of scoring, your odds of success by turning a 3-on-1 to a 1-on-1 as you go up, wind up being like close to 0 probably. But yeah, it's just stupid. Odds are your eyes aren't up, or you're selfish, I guess. Maybe that's something.
Or you haven't been taught.
Yeah, you haven't been taught. But I mean, I don't know. If you're playing hockey and you're getting a 3-on-1, odds are you're old enough that you should be, making a play there. And that doesn't mean that if the guys aren't open, you don't take a shot. But what Toph, I believe, is saying here is like trying to like beat the guy one-on-one in some specific way, where it's not like, you're playing cat and mouse and they wind up, taking the bait on the pass and leaves you wide open for a shot or a B-way from a really, really good angle. He's saying like you just negate the 3-on-1 and you go right in at the guy and try and beat him either wide or through the skates or something, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine how angry this makes somebody like you who has unbelievable vision, for me, who's got vision, a little different.
So I'm going to double down. Just for like all the kids that are listening right now, like I'm going to absolutely double down on what you said a little bit earlier about people beating people one-on-one at like the higher levels of the game. You watch a college hockey game, you watch an NHL hockey game, very rarely, if ever, are you going to see, especially on a rush situation, anybody get beat one-on-one. Just doesn't happen. Like, think about like practices. Like, if you, at those practices, if you do like, and we used to do a lot of like one-on-one full ice drills, you know, that doesn't happen in a pretty good practice place anymore, or practice plan anymore. But like, you never won, ever. You never beat the D, like, ever. So like, it just does. So for all the kids that are listening, like, just understand. And this is where like coaching at the youngest ages really, really matters when it comes to this stuff, because so often, we've talked about it a lot, what happens is you'll get a kid who's maybe a little bit bigger and stronger than everybody else, maybe faster, and they skate in a straight line and go around a defenseman and score. And then they get a pat on the back for that, because it helps the team win the hockey game, which is great, but it's also developing a really bad habit in that player where they think that they can, because they're a little bit physically bigger, stronger, faster than everybody else, that's how you play the game of hockey. Well, eventually people catch up. Eventually you get to levels where players are better, and it just doesn't happen anymore. So if you're that one trick pony who just is really good at beating people one-on-one at the youngest of ages, that has a very, very big shelf life, or small shelf life, whatever that means. Like, that it stops. And so we need to coach our kids, especially our more gifted physical players, that is not how the game of hockey is played when you get older. And we have to incentivize them to move pucks and play the game how the game is played at the older levels. So that's what I want to talk about first. Second thing is, and again, I'll go back to like this is learned. This is not anything other than that is learned. Whether that's every once in a while when a defenseman gets beat one-on-one at the higher levels, it's usually a highlight reel goal. There's a reason why most goals are not highlight reel goals. It's because they're like, they don't happen that often. And then like again, like, they're either not being held accountable for passing and playing a team hockey game, or the drills that you have in practice don't facilitate a team game. So like, this is on us as adults. Like, this is one of my pet peeves, and I don't blame the kids. I blame the adults and the coaches for not incentivizing and teaching how important it is to pass, and that hockey is, there's 10 players on the ice at a time, 12 if you include the goalies. So I just feel like we as adults need to do better to make sure that like we can develop kids that can see the game a little bit better.
100%. I look back at a lot of the coaches or the players that I've coached or trained that were really successful when they were younger, and they didn't have anywhere near as much success as they were older. And it was usually like they were ahead in puberty when they were younger. Yep. And I'm not going to say coaches let them, but
yeah, they did.
They kind of let them, just like, yeah, we're going to win every game because this guy's just way faster than everybody, and he's going to beat everybody no matter what, and he's going to score. And I've seen a bunch of those players. It doesn't translate to the next level. Like, that's not higher level hockey. So if you know that as a coach, make rules, put constraints on them, like, hey, you've got to do this, this, and this before you're allowed to shoot the puck. And I know that might sound ridiculous, but like, that's what's best for that individual player, where they could just beat everybody all the time. And I can almost guarantee that if these players would have had coaches that would have done that when they were younger for years, it would have forced them to work on their hockey IQ. It would have forced them to learn new skills. It would have forced them to find other players on the ice, which are the things that they had trouble with at the older levels of hockey, juniors in college, because the game was too easy, and we let it be too easy for them when they were younger, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's just like, do you know what I'm talking? Like, for everybody that's listening, so like, just imagine a 3-on-2, and the player with the puck tries to go through the legs, or tries to toe drag, if you're a left wing or right defenseman coming back, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And that's where like, and when the player comes back to the bench, I remember I was asking him like, hey, do you watch a lot of the NHL? And of course they're going to say yes, even though maybe they don't. I was like, how many times do you see a defenseman get beat one-on-one in the NHL? And they look at you and they're like, oh, not a lot, maybe not. I'm like, yeah, man. Like, and then but the other thing is I talk to the other players too. Are they talking? Are you saying 3-on-2? Are you saying 2-on-1, whatever that odd man rush is? And so like, I think it's always when you're correcting or coaching the player with the puck, it's good to do it with the other players too, because they're a part of it. So anyways, pet peeve of mine, saw it a lot over the weekend. And yeah, let's teach our kids not to do that, please.
And passing's important.
Time's up.